Right, so I'm on the Escort bonnet and I've turned it over to do a couple of the touch-ups. Just on the rail here, a little bit here, before I complete the outside. I don't want to turn it over again, but while it's been painted, even though the whole of this underside was masked off, the trestle in the paint booth had left some deep scratches both sides. So I've just flatted them with 2500. This side I've got back to how it should look, and I'm just going to polish this side up. Then while it's upside down, I'm going to do all the edges again because these have been lacquered. So even though I've done them the first time, I've got to polish those again. So I'll do that, do the touch-ups like I say, and then turn it back over and make sure this is completely cushioned. Even though I've got if I lift this up, you could see it's got a soft neoprene board underneath that hopefully won't mark anything. But I'll cover all this with a towel or something. But anything that you rub on will mark, so it's not saying this will be the last time that I'll have to go on the inside, but I'll get the worst out now, get it back to how it should, and I'll deal with whatever after. There's another bit where it went through when I was polishing. I'm just going to touch these up. Right, I'll see you a little bit later when I turn the bonnet back over. Good morning, it's Ted from The Devil's in the Detail. Well, I've been off for the last 3 weeks with a few personal issues that I'm sorting out, but I've come back part-time. So yesterday I flatted the top of this bonnet, 1500 grit, followed by 2000 grit, followed by 3000 grit, and I've got it down to a nice level to polish up. I've just done a test patch with a quick cut to see how it's going to look, and it's looking okay. But first I'm going to turn the bonnet upside down again because I want to polish all these edges, make sure they're nice and flat. They don't look too bad from the last time that I did them, so I just want to make sure that they're all okay. So I'll turn the bonnet upside down before I polish the top because I don't want to mark it once it's done. I'll make sure the underside's okay and all finished, turn it back over, and then start the polishing process. I think the paint's pretty much gone hard enough in the time that it's been left, and I don't think there's going to be any more sinkages, so hopefully once it's polished it should stay like that. But time will tell. Normally I like to leave it a week or so after they're polished in case it's going to sink into the flattened marks, but we'll see how it goes. Right then, until the next one, I'll see you soon. I'll just try and explain what I'm going to do to these bits. These are the parts that always give the game away when something's been painted, even though you know it's been painted. But as you can see, the edges are always a little bit on the dry side, and these aren't too bad because I prepped them quite well before it was painted. So I'm just going to go around all these top edges. You can see this side's a little bit drier, and of course these edges will be dry. So I'm just going to flat these wet with 3000 grit, just a little tickle. I'm not going to go mad. I don't want to break through the edges, which it will do. You know, I don't want to be aggressive. So I'm going to get these done and this back edge as well, and then I can turn it back over and start polishing the top. Right, I'm going to get the hands wet in the flatting bucket and get on with it. Well, for those of you that have watched the whole of this job, I'm now down to the polishing of the top side of the bonnet, and I've just finished 2 stages on that side, and I'm just doing the first cut on this side of the bonnet. I'm using a Car Pro wool and H902 Koshkemi for the cut, and then second stage I'm using a Koshkemi yellow pad and the Koshkemi F601 for the second cut, and then the final polish will be done with Menzerner 3800 on a black pad. Seems to be coming up quite nice, and I'm sure Matthew will be pleased to get it back since it's been here so long. But life gets in the way of work sometimes. So I'm going to get the rest of this side cut, and then I'm going to leave it overnight because the heat from the polishing expands the paint, and I want it to sink back overnight. Before I try and do a final polish on it, I want it to do any sinking it's going to do when it contracts back. But it's going to look nice. Be nicer when it's on the car, but it's coming on. I'm only doing 4 hours a day, so I've got another hour left to do the cutting on this side. And we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. So I'll be back tomorrow. See you soon. Well, as you know, I cut this yesterday and decided to leave it overnight because of the paint swelling effect. One of the reasons I used an orbital and wool is because they run cooler. Because this has got so much paint on it, obviously the heat transfer and the paint swelling, I expected to come back today and find some sinkages, which I have. Some of it you could just see there, and that's about the most, but you can see it's sunk into a few flatting marks. So I'm just going over it again today with the second stage cut all over the bonnet, and then I'll leave it again till tomorrow, and if it doesn't sink back anymore by then, I'll give it the final polish with the Menzerner 3800 once I know there's no more sinkage. But the paint swelling effect, you know, you can have a great finish the night before, which this was, and although it still looks good, it still doesn't look as good as it did when I left it last night, which I half expected. I did explain that I'd leave it overnight to sink again. Perhaps tomorrow, when it's done, I'll explain about the paint expansion due to the friction of the polishing. That's why sometimes you can have a great finish and go home and then come back the next day and find that it's dulled off somewhat. But this is probably, because of the thickness of the paint, this will be affected far more than say a modern paint job. This has got like a solvent based paint on it, and lots of it, and so the expansion's going to be greater than it would be with modern base coat and lacquer, 2-pack finish. but it'll be all right by the time I finish today, I think. Right, so I'm going to get on and get it done. I'll see you in a bit later. Well, here we have it. The bonnet is finally finished, and up to a nice level of reflection. And as you've seen, there's quite a lot of work that goes into getting a show finish on a car. I mean, this bonnet still isn't perfect because it's 25 years old plus, and you know, the faults really in the panel itself should have been took care of before the first layer of paint went on. So, you know, I haven't been able to make it as flat as I'd have liked, but it's still a million times better than when it arrived. So it's all ready for Matthew to collect now. Put it back on the car. There appears to have been no further sinkage in the paint overnight. So you could take it away. I'm sure I'll have it back once the stripes are put on. Probably have it back, tickle it up again and put the ceramic coating on. But I'd rather all the solvents go off before I apply the ceramic coating anyway. Because the amount of paint on this, you know, it's going to be gassing out for quite a while, I'd have thought. But there we have it. One show car bonnet, all finished. We'll see what it looks like when it's on the car. So I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.